President of the United States of America.
Well.
J.D. Vance, accompanied by the Second Lady, Mrs. Usha Vance.
There we go. Looks like we've got the Trump's presidential inaugural parade beginning, which means Donald Trump will be speaking again shortly here, which is interesting because it's the second time in just one day, and so we'll get a chance here to watch this together. Right now, it looks like we've got VP and First Lady VP, or Second Lady, which is the more appropriate term, heading in. We just saw the Secret Service come out, and so hence started the live stream. Secret Service just lined up there on the left side. You can see the camera angle there. So this is as the VP and wife are coming in. Everybody's looking over to the other side, so we'll see where they're coming from. And then we expect Donald Trump to come in. Maybe who knows? Maybe the VP's coming in from one side and Trump's coming in from the other side. So we'll see. Here we go. Looks like we've got family. Oh, there he is. All right, here they come. And we're expecting another speech here. I know a lot of people are looking for insights into what Donald Trump is going to do over the next 24 hours here. Everybody's sort of tuning in, looking for clues. It's going to be really interesting. You've already seen, if you go to the homepage of Customs and Border Protection, you've already seen that you've... well, how should I put it? You've already seen the Customs CBP One app get suspended and taken down. Basically, this was a tool for people to apply for asylum, submit their documentation, to become immigrants through what was supposed to be the legal process. All of this frozen right now as Donald Trump sort of realigns immigration policy. Let's see if we get some comments on it today in this now more evening 5:25-ish speech. There he is. That's very interesting. If you just noticed, he's actually holding up some kind of binder. Usually he doesn't come out with a binder, and so some suggestions imply that maybe Donald Trump is coming out here to literally start signing executive orders. That would be quite entertaining. I know a lot of people would find that very interesting. So, let's see what we get here. Generally, he gives his speeches either off cuff or with a teleprompter. You know, the presidential teleprompters, we always see those. But seeing him come out with a binder, it's just very, very curious. What could it be? All right, there we go. There he is. See, and he's holding it up. Now, he's holding it up like it's... You remember that time he held the Bible? Wasn't that after J6? 2020? One? But anyway, now he's holding it up like and pointing at it like you know, get ready for what's coming. That's an interesting red purse there on the left. You see that? Looks like a vault. There's like a bulletproof purse with 6-inch heels back there. Jeez. Look how flat that hat is, too. It's crazy. You could probably level that vault purse on the brim of that hat and it wouldn't fall. Not that you would. All right, here we go. Okay, he put his thingamajiggy down. Get the USA and the Trump dance. Okay, yep, got to get the Trump dance in there. Okay. Well, you could barely see Melania's face with that hat. Oh, yeah. It's the executive order signing desk. There it is. That's what the desk is there for. He's got a stack of like 10 executive orders to sign. Aha. Somebody says the binder of justice. There you go. Bulletproof hat. Yeah, no kidding, huh? Okay. All right. Purple tie. Okay, his tie's a little long today. He's not used to tying the purple tie. You know, he's usually going for the red tie. But he's got to be unifying today. I think that's what he's trying to go for. It's the day of liberation, as he says, right? So he's got to go for the purple tie. All right, how are you going to give a speech from back there, bro? Oh, are we going to have the parade first? Oh, we're going to probably have the parade first. Barron's just like, bro, I've been standing so long today. I'm just looking down on everyone over here. I'm ready to go to sleep. You know, Trump's like 6 feet tall. So, and look how tall Barron is relative. It's crazy. And you know, Melania's in heels, so it just makes everybody else look tiny. Okay. Maybe we're taking some pictures first. Maybe that's what it is. Here we go. Yeah, there. Get some pictures. You know, when they're indoors, they don't do the bulletproof glass. They just do that on outdoor.
We present a selection of participants for the 2025 Presidential Inaugural Parade.
All right. Big tie, big pricing power. Yeah. Well, it's long. I don't think it's big. It's long. You know, it's not too girthy. It's just got lots of length. All right.
We are at the Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C., where the presidential parade is going to happen indoors, like everything else with this inauguration.
Yeah.
Our Daniel Grimes is inside the arena, and they screamed just like you predicted when the president and first lady came in. Tell us what's happening now, Daniel.
Well, I actually also want to point to a moment earlier, Errol, that the president, he came in and he had a black binder, presumably another executive order he's going to sign. And
yeah.
He said earlier the people in the arena are going to be very happy. So I feel like the signs are there that the president could pardon the January 6th defendants here at the Capital One Arena and also potentially close the southern border, declaring a national emergency to do so. I have to imagine, because again, that is what got the largest applause when the president spoke earlier, and so we'll have to wait and see what he ultimately signs.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Maybe it's a sort of like an oh, there he is. That's his jacket for the person who was shot when the bullet missed Trump. He was on the right side of the stands there. So sad, shot in the head. It was terrible. What a terrible day. Also, such a sad failure of so many different parts. Crazy. But anyway, yeah, that's interesting. If maybe the binder is a reference to either the J6 situation or the border. We'll see. Bitcoin's playing around with that. What are we at? 103 right now level. Official Trump token sitting at 39. All right.
Who was killed during that attack, given a place of prominence, and I believe there'll be a moment of silence as well.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you see there the vice president and second lady, his wife, as well as their kids, who certainly win an award for cutest kids of the day. They've been dragged from one event to the other and seem to be having a pretty good time. But a little bit of family time, as well as all of the formalities of this presidential parade. There'll be one group after another that comes by, and again, this is the kind of thing that would have happened outdoors and the president would be in a reviewing stand with his family members. But due to the weather, they're indoors at the Capital One Arena, and so it's an unusual kind of a parade. They'll be just processing by the president. Not as visually compelling. You don't have the background of the Capitol and other landmarks, but nevertheless, an important part of this very important day. Daniel Grimes is with us. He's inside the arena. And this is, I guess, since you saw the first group that came by, you kind of understand the setup here. Are we expecting a lot of groups to come by?
Well, actually, we just entered a moment of silence. I'm going to actually do that in honor of Corey Comparator, the man who died in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Indoor parade.
Daniel, that assassination attempt very quickly became core to the Trump message. He even alluded to it today in the inaugural address, didn't he?
Yeah, and in fact, when he came in here, you heard chants of fight, fight, fight. I heard that several times today. And so we heard the president also allude to it earlier. And we knew that there was going to be that moment of silence. I mean, even back during the RNC, you saw the president bring out Corey Comparator's firefighter jersey and, showcase that, have that moment of silence, that solemn moment during the RNC. Because again, there was the assassination attempt on the president, but the president wants to call out the fact that a man lost his life in Butler, Pennsylvania on that day. And so we had that moment of silence here as well. And again, that was just a major point during the campaign era.
Okay. New York Military Academy, which is Donald Trump's alma mater. They are processing by. That was where he attended, I guess, the equivalent of high school.
All right, let's see here.
Let's go on to our Josh Robin, who is...
so while the parade goes on, let's take a look at some of the executive orders that we're expecting. So let's write them down. Executive orders expected. Okay. So we are looking for... Let's see here. Okay, close the border, number one. We'll check them off as we go. Close the border to asylum-seeking migrants. Okay. Number two, we're looking at possible end to birthright citizenship. Really, that's expected. But that's in the Constitution. So TBD, how that's gonna play out. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess maybe he can try to, do it under some kind of emergency power or whatever, right? Let's see here. Federal workforce, basically in the office. Yep. So let's see. In office, 4 to 5 days a week for Fed. Ending the gender. I'll just say ending DEI. Then we've got tariff orders. Drill baby drill orders. Drill baby drill orders / open up lands. Okay. Then we're looking at potentially something on the delayed TikTok ban. Delaying TikTok ban. Then what about potentially something on Bitcoin reserve? Then, and this would likely for already held assets, right? We'll say that. Okay. Then we'll do delaying TikTok ban. Oh, I already got that one. What else? What else are we expecting here? Bitcoin reserve. Yeah, I guess you could say the Gulf of Mexico. Mexico naming. It'd be interesting if there are any details on implementation. I doubt it so far, but we'll see. Okay. Let's see what other folks are speculating. Let's try Wall Street Journal. Let's see what they have for us as the parade goes on. Yeah, Trump's executive orders will focus on a review of relationships with China, trade deficits, unfair trade practices. Few details, really, though. Yeah, some think he'll try to end birthright citizenship. Romania, Mexico. Yeah, that'll be related to the border. Sign orders to cut regulation. Ah, orders to cut regulation. We could see that too. Yep, DI, we got that. Orders to cut regulation to simplify, processes, which may lower costs, right? And there's JD and Trump chatting and laughing. Okay, so the tariff policy might just be an order to agencies to evaluate tariff policies, right? So that's interesting. Okay. DI, we talked about that. The two genders, you might see that. So I'm at 11 so far. And I think we've got about 10 on that desk, plus what he's got in the binder. Two genders. Okay. Oh, yeah, the taxes on overtime. The SALT taxes, honestly, some of the tax policies will probably come. I'll mention that. That's going to be my guess. More of the tax policy will be more congressional. Tax policy, much more likely, I'll say congressional. So think no tax on tips. Certainly SALT. Remember, most actions have to be done through the House, the Senate, and the president. Executive orders are a tool to direct or encourage, but they often get held up in court. So there's often a limit to how effective they are, especially since you're going to get a lot of lawsuits on every single one of these orders. The Trump admin is just going to get sued to oblivion. Now, they already expect that, and Trump is no stranger to lawsuits. So the question then just turns into, okay, well, how are the courts going to either clear the way for these executive orders or stand in the way of, right? That'll be important. So let's see what we got here. Cheerleading.
That a golden age for America begins right now. So for the people in that room, I know they are likely very excited to be witnessing this moment in history. And so when Donald Trump takes the stage, I expect this to not be a speech focused on bipartisan unity or on bridging gaps, but really on what his hardcore message is, which is turning America around, tackling issues like immigration at the border, like America and our role in manufacturing, both domestically and around the world. And so I expect this to be a speech where folks are standing up for a long period of time because they are continuing to cheer Donald Trump on. And I suspect that he will enjoy it.
Okay, those kids in purple are from Middletown High School in Ohio, and that is the alma mater of J.D. Vance. So some little music from the heartland here.
That's kind of cool that they did that.
As a
Hey, let's get
survivor
your
of,
high school to
of
perform.
High school marching band, I can relate to all of the drilling that these do for this moment in the spotlight. Let's go to our Taylor Popolars, who's very familiar with J.D. Vance, who of all the people in this room may have traveled the furthest distance in the shortest amount of time, politically speaking.
That's right, Errol, and I've been to Middletown where J.D. Vance grew up. If people have read Hillbilly Elegy, the memoir that kind of shot him into stardom, they read a lot about Middletown. It's in southwest Ohio. It's essentially between the Dayton area and Cincinnati, and it's where Vance spent most of his life, besides the summertime when he grew up in eastern Kentucky. But, I think this is really meaningful for him. I've seen images of his mom, Beverly, by his side throughout the last couple of days. They, of course, had a strained relationship growing up as she struggled with addiction and had multiple marriages, and Vance was largely raised by his grandmother, who he called Mama, who passed away several years ago. But you know, this is a big moment for him, and just looking at this visual of him talking with President Trump, one of his 3 children draped over the podium there, as you alluded to, it's remarkable how Vance has kind of been on a rocket ship over the last couple of years. I covered his run for Ohio Senate that was launched in a couple of years ago, and he ended up being a U.S. Senator for just 2 years before becoming Vice President. And it's because of his story and his upbringing in kind of a working class, lower middle class upbringing in Middletown, Ohio, that the Trump campaign felt comfortable bringing him aboard.
You know, people dispute that so much. I mean, they mostly because of where he ended up, not so much where he began, right? Certainly makes sense regarding humble beginnings, but then people look and go, wait a minute, humble beginnings, but you went to, you know, an Ivy, what was it? Where did he go? Was it an Ivy League? Anyway, it was certainly an elite institution. I had to look exactly where he went. And then people argue, you know, hey, like you came from venture capital and basically, you know, an institutional background. And that doesn't sort of discredit his younger age, but people criticize that. And I don't know that that really matters so much. I actually think J.D. Vance, he's a pretty straightforward, reasonable guy. So, well, you know, it should make for a good vice president. We'll see how it goes. But I know that's a criticism that people give, although that Trump was trying to brand him as that.
So I think it was important that they be featured in this parade.
Yale, thank you for that, yeah.
Hometown. Try and make this connection, close this loop for us about how someone from such humble roots and who wrote a book about it, so it's not just a part of his past, but something that he wanted to talk about and explain to the rest of the world. You know, and I'm trying to square that J.D. Vance with the billionaires in attendance who are going to be literally camped out in the White House making policy.
Yeah, it's an interesting contrast. You know, Vance, he's a really smart guy, and he's really ambitious. After he was in the Marines, he ended up...
Somebody's like, small loan of $1 million. Oh.
And he got into the world of venture capital.
Yeah, you know, I do wonder what happened with... they're talking about the venture capital plan.
Some of the prominent folks who are kind of, you know...
Well, that's how you got connected to, like, Silicon Valley and Musk and, you know, Peter Thiel, you know, Palantir folks and that. But... yeah, what's so interesting is, you know, what happened there with Vivek, mostly because, you know, there are a lot of people who are like, hey, you know, you could be part of Doge and run for governor. Like, quite frankly, a lot of people think that, you know, Vivek could have used, excuse me.
He was a Trump critic for several years.
Yeah. A lot of people think Vivek could have used Doge as you know, as sort of a resume builder. Now, a spokeswoman for Trump's transition apparently said that Vivek played a critical role in forming Doge and intends to run for elected office soon, which requires him remain outside of Doge. I don't think that's true. I don't think you have to do anything while you're outside, you know, while you're running for campaign. You don't have to, like, divest from anything while you're running for office.
Literally Trump's right-hand man and his deputy, but he's become a really vocal attack dog. He's become a really vocal ally for big tech. He talks a lot about censorship. So it's fascinating because I think in many ways, I was mentioning earlier how Vance is only 40, Trump is 78. So, you know, he's literally half Trump's age. And I think he's been able to help bridge the divide for Trump and to connect him with a lot of these younger Silicon Valley types that Vance was, you know, interacting with through his Ivy League days and his venture capital days. And now they're playing a key role in the Trump-Vance administration and its success going forward. And the last point I'll mention, we talk a lot about Elon Musk. you know, Elon Musk poured a couple $100 million into backing the Trump-Vance ticket, and we know that Elon Musk and Donald Trump Jr. played a big role in helping convince Trump to choose Vance as his running mate. So there's a clear influence there. It's a far cry from Vance's days in Middletown, but he proved, especially after he left the Marines, that he was really ambitious and he wanted to surround himself with you know, people kind of in the upper crust. And now he's not only one of them, he's a leader of them.
Okay. Let's go back to our Holly Gregory, and it's very interesting. Taylor raises an interesting point. You got Marco Rubio, who was a literal political opponent and fierce critic of Donald Trump.
You know, there are also some people that are suggesting, you know, maybe Vivek is sort of casting some doubt on how successful Doge might be by, you know, kind of dipping out beforehand. You know, again, I think of it as like, it seems like it would be a good resume builder. And instead, it seems like you've got, you know, this, oh yeah, I helped create it and then I dipped. I don't know, it's kind of weird.
We've seen that even more recently with Governor Ron DeSantis, who challenged him this latest time around. And as I understood it, Trump was very upset about that. He viewed that challenge in the primary by DeSantis as betrayal, because he had endorsed DeSantis for governor at a time when it didn't look like DeSantis had much of a chance. But now the two are golfing together. You know, he's back, seems to be somewhat in Trump's good graces. But as you mentioned, Marco Rubio, who's soon to be the Secretary of State, he'll be the first cabinet member who is confirmed, was at one point back in 2016 Little Marco. Remember that nickname that Trump had for him? And those two were rivals in 2016.
The mom there is like, please don't mess up my hair. Little JD, you realize it took like 6 hours to do my hair this morning and you almost just ruined it? I feel like she's got that look of like, I feel like I need to check my hair. Like, what if he screwed up my hair? It's like, did you pack a mirror? Quick, reach for the bag. That sucks. Feel bad. People have to, well, mostly women have to spend that much time on their hair. It's like, well, man.
For the longest time, and we will see this played out as he is Secretary of State, Rubio has been hawkish on China, viewing China as our #1 geopolitical adversary.
Yeah, and this is going to be interesting. How are we going to smooth that over when people in the cabinet are like, oh yeah, China's evil, basically.
Him being picked as Secretary of State, certainly no surprise. But, you know, most people in the Republican Party, if you go way back, you know, to when Trump first got into politics and into running for president, you don't have to think about too many people who didn't, you know, who were on his team with Republicans. If you've been in the Republican Party for more than 5 minutes, at one point you probably opposed Trump on some level. He had that wall of resistance when he first came.
It's worth noting that TikTok CEO was also at the what's it called? At the inauguration this morning. So I thought it was kind of interesting just to pay attention to.
Administration where he really personally conducted a lot of his foreign policy. And it reminds me even of, say, the Nixon presidency, where you have a commander-in-chief who really has a lot of personal relationships, a lot of ideas about the role of personal diplomacy, and is determined to enact those policies personally. The same was really true to a certain extent for Jimmy Carter. Marco Rubio is going to come in with a lot of expertise and some ideas, but in the end, there's only one person making foreign policy for this administration, right?
Trump is the boss, and I think he wants. I think that Marco Rubio has been around him long enough to know that that is true. And you know, there has always been, when it comes to Marco Rubio.
I'm just gonna throw up on screen here as well the price action of what you've got. You've got, what do we have here? You've got Bitcoins at 103.4, official Trump, about 39 bucks, down from its highs, about 75 bucks, as the inauguration takes place here. Looks like you peaked out. Oh, what's the? I wonder what the specific peak out here was. Looks like it was about 9 o'clock last night. Yeah, there it is. 9:35 p.m. last night. Although it peaked out at around 75 intra time frame. What do we got? Yeah. All right.
From all over the world, and he is now much more hawkish on that issue than he ever was. But part of it is, you know, Marco Rubio knows how to read the tea leaves, and he knows who is calling the shots in this administration.
Indeed. Let's go to our Erin Kelly. There is some news to report because the Senate is in session and has, in fact, begun playing its own role in helping this new administration get set up. Erin, tell us what's going on.
Well, Errol, we can report that Florida Senator Marco Rubio has been voted to clear this committee. He was cleared unanimously out of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee just a short while ago. And then Pete Hegseth, who is President Trump's pick to lead the Department of Defense, has also been voted approved out of the Senate Armed Services Committee. So we heard from Senate Minority Leader John Thune of South Dakota earlier on the Senate floor saying that he was hoping to begin floor votes imminently and wanted to get Rubio approved this week, as well as John Ratcliffe, who is Trump's pick for leading the CIA. You know, it's not a surprise that there's a unanimous support for Florida Senator Marco Rubio. You know, he's has bipartisan support, obviously, and that was shown in his questioning last week by his fellow senators. You know, as far as Hegseth, though, that's a little bit more of a controversial pick. That vote went along party lines. He faced some really sharp questioning when he was here last week about allegations of sexual and financial misconduct, allegations that he denies and claims is a part of an anonymous smear campaign. He views himself as sort of a change agent, was deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq, and is a former Fox News host. But again, Marco Rubio is looking like he's poised to be cleared by the full Senate. It's just a question of when that's going to be, Errol.
Yeah, worth mentioning, Marco Rubio is looking for Secretary of State. So this is what Hillary Clinton was under the Obama admin. And then Department of Defense for Hegseth, the former Fox guy, Fox and Friends. Fox and Friends. Anyway, very curious to get these executive orders and action going here. Let's see here. Looks like there was a... let me see here. Just verify this. Oh yeah, look at this. So apparently there was a Border Patrol agent killed in Vermont at a traffic stop today. Which is always... Nope. Hold on.
Trying to make sure that they can cut down on sexual harassment, sexual assault in the military. She's worked with Senator.
No, okay. Yeah, there we go. Hold on one sec. Let me pull this up. Okay. Take a look. Let's see here. Oops, there we go. Okay, here we go. So what do we got here? The United States border agent was shot and killed in a traffic stop in Vermont near the northern border here. Department of Homeland Security said a Border Patrol agent was shot and killed during a traffic stop about 3:15 p.m. That's actually 15 minutes after inauguration time. During the traffic stop, 2 suspects were in the car. Officials confirmed one of the suspects is dead. Wow. That's quite sad. Okay. Let's see here. There we go.
Like the Republican
There we go.
Party and coalition, conservatives in particular, that are more than willing to try to engage these Republicans in the primary space, basically threatening their opportunity to stay on in power and get reelected. Joni Ernst is up for reelection next year, and so there was a lot of pressure on her to back Hegseth, basically saying, if you don't support him, we will primary you. So there's a lot of moving pieces here at play, not just beyond are we being loyal to Trump or not, but can I stay a member of elected office because of outside forces that might try to drag me through, comply with what Trump wants.
Let's go to our Reuben Jones at the White House. I want to pick up on a particular nominee, and that's Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has advised people that there's no such thing as a safe or effective vaccine. He's talked about people consuming raw milk. Like Hegseth, has never run anything remotely as large as the department that he would be in charge of. Does he fall in is he closer to the Matt Gaetz end of things, where the Senate might say, you're not the right guy, or is it going to be more of a fight, as we saw with Pete Hegseth?
Yeah, that's going to be hard.
Yeah.
My guess is it's going to be pretty hard for RFK. I hope he gets in, because I think he's got some, powerful ideas for healthcare versus, what he calls sick care. So I think that'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. But I imagine that's going to be a tough one.
30% of things they agree with RFK about, and the rest, not so much. One of the big criticisms about RFK is in regards to his views on vaccines. And it's not only controversial with Democrats, but it's also controversial with some Republicans. And we've heard a number of Republicans, I've reached out to a number of senators who have not confirmed whether they are going to support him. Now, some of that is customary because the confirmation hearings haven't occurred yet. But there are some signs that his confirmation could be in jeopardy. Number one, his hearing has not been scheduled yet. It'll be in front of the Senate Finance Committee. He'll also have a hearing in front of a different committee that oversees health. And so there are concerns about his views on vaccines. There are also some concerns from Republicans on some of his views regarding tackling food companies and food additives and things like that. And then on the Democratic side, there are some who support him because of his views on food and combating some of the...
Yeah, I actually think you'll get people from both sides that kind of look at RFK and are like, you know what, he's got some points. I think a lot of people, though, will look at him as, there are going to be some people who just look and say, look, he was a denier during COVID, and other people are like, yeah, rightfully so, and other people are like, no, he was, anti-vax or whatever. Really interesting to see kind of what information you can get out of it. I'm always a big fan of the more facts you can get, the more you can make up your mind with an informed opinion. So how much longer is this parade going to go? Let's see. We're at about, 30 minutes or so of parading now, and we expect Trump to sign some executive orders after this.
Can this person run an agency that is like a fifth of the federal budget, that has tens of thousands of employees? Is there any evidence do they consider that at all?
Yeah, forgive me, Errol, you cut out a little bit there, but I think what your question was in regards to the federal budget. And yeah, RFK...
I love that red trim on their shoulders. It reminds me of like a RuneScape, suit of trimmed rune armor.
It's fair to argue that HHS is one of the most impactful agencies for Americans because it impacts your...
If you're an existing course member, you could email us at staff@meetkevin.com for a bundle coupon. I see your comment here, Music Ears. Just email us at staff@meetkevin.com if you're an existing course member. We can see what we can do for you. Let's see what courses you have. But yeah, that reminds me, we do have that expiring coupon code today. I gotta update the video on the front page, but everything, because we've already released it, the Video Talks pre-release. But the course is out, and now I get to add a bunch of content as we start seeing what policy is coming out from Trump, and I'm really excited about that. So it's gonna be a really cool Trumponomics course with trade alerts and live streams, lifetime access. It's at meetkevin.com. Just go to meetkevin.com, you'll see it. But that's a good question. Yeah, just email us at stuff. You can also get the email at meetkevin.com. It's like halfway down the page.
They're in the Capital One Arena, where I'm told, I believe, Daniel, that this is the last of the marching bands.
All right. And then what? After the marching bands, are we going to get into floats, or can we get into the speeches? There's there's definitely talent in marching bands, but I want to start going through these executive orders. Thank you.
That if you're an American tuning into our coverage right now, you did not vote for President Donald Trump, but you're tuning in to see, okay, is the president going to reach out?
You're already a course member. How do you get a wrench? You leave a comment on the January 10th course member live stream.
Out to me as a voter who didn't vote for the president. I think those viewers right now are at least getting a moment to look at this and go, wow, they have to be proud to be an American, because this band from Mississippi is putting on quite a show. But all of the bands that performed here, Errol, have, I mean, the crowd has largely stayed on their feet cheering all of the bands that have gone through on. And so it's been just one huge party here, Errol.
Yeah, I can see that. And I don't know the history of this particular school, but it's got an HBCU flavor to it, where, you know, the marching band and the drum majors are as respected, as disciplined, and as, frankly, as well funded as some of the sports teams. It's like being a varsity sports hero to be a drum major in some of these schools. And I think that's what we're looking at here.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it is pretty impressive, but so limit to how much marching I want to watch.
We are waiting for the newly inaugurated president to address his supporters. This is a parade that normally happens outdoors, but due to the cold weather, everything was moved indoors. So this is the Capital One arena. The president and his family are on the dais, along with other respected guests. We also have a table that is set up here because, in addition to speaking to his supporters, the president is expected to sit down at a small table and sign some executive orders. These orders, we don't know which they are at this point, but it looks like there are about a half a dozen waiting for his signature. He signed some earlier today, at least one of which took immediate effect, ordering flags to be raised to full staff. They had been at half staff to commemorate the death of the 39th president, Jimmy Carter, about a week ago. And he signed an order today saying, enough with the mourning, let's raise the flags. And so they have been raised. That's what it's like to be president. You sign a piece of paper and stuff starts changing. We don't know what exactly he's going to sign in the next few minutes, but we do expect it to very possibly go to some of his promises around closing the border, declaring an emergency, invoking the Alien Enemies Act, and otherwise taking strong and aggressive action on immigration and border security. I want to bring in our colleague, Yvette Bruzoil, is in Orlando, Florida. And do you have any reporting on these executive orders other than our general expectation that this is going to be where
there's not that much out there. I mean, we made a list, but honestly, they're keeping it pretty close-chested. I'm very curious to see if Bitcoin's going to get to mention it.
With the binder, and he held it up in the air, and the crowd went
that
wild.
too, the binder.
I'm going to call that binder watch, because we just don't know what's in there. But we're watching that very closely, and we're going to see that here, hopefully, in just a little bit. But this band is really showing out and showing off, and the crowd is loving this as well. I will have to tell you that I also want to point our viewers to something that our Taylor Popolars flagged just a little while ago, and he also did it on social media, which is that we're expecting a vote here in a little bit regarding the confirmation, see if he gets the actual numbers that he needs, and that would be for Marco Rubio to become officially the Secretary of State, and all eyes have been on him. We could do a 2-hour plus show on Rubio alone, because he is Florida politics, and to be catapulted to this level at the national scope of politics is quite remarkable, whether you see eye to eye with him or not. He would be the first Hispanic Secretary of State. You also have Susie Wiles, Chief of Staff for the President. You've got Michael Waltz, National Secretary.
All right, you know what's kind of cool while we wait, while this is going on? I'm looking at this, and I think this is really cool. I want to show this. This is actually from the Times, and it's a photo. Basically, what they did is they went through this high-resolution photo, and then they just labeled everybody that was here at the inauguration. So, look, here's Mark Zuckerberg. There's RFK. You can barely see him right there in the background. You Jeff Bezos hiding over there. Mike Johnson. There's John Thune. Bessent for Treasury Secretary. There's Joe Rogan. And let's see, we got Kimberly Thune. There's Elon. He's got a pretty close seat over here. And it honestly, it kind of looks like he came alone over here. What label did they give him? Pam Bondi, the AG pick. We saw her, well, some of the details on her confirmation. And then we got in charge of governmental efficiency effort, Elon right here. There's Vivek, no longer in charge of government efficiency effort. And Barron Trump, he's sitting over here, behind there. There's Tim Cook from Apple. Then, let's see. On this side, you've got the justices. You've got Joe Biden, Obama. Oh, let's see who's speaking over here. Hold on, let's go back to this.
I was appointed by President Trump to be the special envoy for peace in the Middle East. And I'd like to describe to you some of the things we're doing and how it informs on President Trump's policies. First of all, it is an honor to stand before you today as I reflect on the enormity of the role that President Trump has tasked me with. I am constantly reminded of the privilege it is to serve under the leadership of my boss, President Donald J. Trump. His presidency has provided a clear, bold vision for the Middle East, and it is this vision that guides every step I take in the mission. President Trump's leadership has redefined what is possible in the pursuit of progress and stability in the Middle East. His decisive, pragmatic approach ensures that even the most entrenched conflicts are met with fresh perspectives and innovative strategies. His policies have already delivered remarkable successes, such as yesterday's release of hostages in Gaza. Thank you. This achievement demonstrates the strength of President Trump's leadership and the respect he commands on the global stage. It is yet another example of his ability to deliver results in the most complex and challenging situations. The Abraham Accords, a testament to his vision and determination, have also brought historic progress to the region, transforming old rivalries into new alliances. These agreements are not merely symbolic. They represent a practical roadmap for peace, economic cooperation, and mutual respect across nations. My role, as President Trump has tasked me, is straightforward yet profoundly challenging: to turn his vision into actionable outcomes. He sets the agenda, he lays the framework, and he inspires people like me into bold action. My responsibility is to implement his vision, engaging with leaders across the region to find pathways towards sustainable peace and stability. And let me tell you, having Donald Trump as a boss makes this task not only possible, but far more effective. President Trump's reputation as a leader who delivers results resonates far beyond Washington. Leaders in the Middle East know he means what he says. His ability to cut through bureaucratic gridlock and focus on tangible results is the game changer. It allows me to approach delicate negotiations with the confidence that the full weight of the United States is behind me. The principles President Trump has laid out for our approach to the Middle East and foreign policy in general are fourfold, and they are clear. 1, respect for sovereignty. Every nation deserves the right to determine its own destiny, free from the interference of external powers. 2, economic prosperity as a bridge to stability. Through economic partnerships and investment, we can build a foundation for cooperation that transcends historical grievances. 3, courageous diplomacy. Real progress requires difficult conversations and bold decisions, and it is through these that trust is built and maintained. And finally, 4, reciprocity and accountability. The United States requires reciprocal actions from our partners. We are done carrying the financial burden for nations that are unwilling We are done carrying the financial burden for nations that are unwilling to fund their own progress. The days of blank checks are over. Partnerships under President Trump's leadership must be equitable, and contributions must reflect shared commitments to our goals. In my work, I've seen firsthand how these principles resonate. They provide a foundation that transcends politics and speaks to the shared humanity of all people in a region. Leaders across the Middle East recognized that this Trump administration is serious about results, not symbolic gestures, but real, meaningful progress that improves lives. Thank you. It's not always easy. There are moments of deep challenge and frustration. Decades of mistrust cannot be undone overnight. Yet I take comfort in knowing that I am not in this alone. President Trump's clarity of vision ensures that I never have to question what success looks like. His leadership provides the confidence and direction necessary to navigate these complexities. As we move forward, my commitment is to continue the work of advancing President Trump's vision for the Middle East. Whether through expanding the Abraham Peace Accords, fostering economic development, or facilitating dialogue between long-standing adversaries, my focus remains on actionable results. Let me close by saying this: a stable and prosperous Middle East is not an unattainable dream.
There we go.
It is a goal within our reach, made possible by strong leadership and unwavering commitment.
It would be nice to have peace in the Middle East. It's been, many, millennia, it feels like. That's too long, but it's been centuries. But the last decades even, it's just been rough. So it'd be nice to see that. Let's see if we can pull it off.
To introduce you to tonight, President Trump has been talking to them as well.
Okay.
They are the families of hostages from Israel who have been in Gaza for the last year and a half. There are many of them here today. Several of the families have lost children and loved ones, and they're here because they're part of an effort to retrieve their bodies so they can be buried in a proper way. Several have children who are still in captivity. There is an American family here whose loved one is scheduled to come out in 14 days, and they're going to be meeting the president tonight. So Let's give them all some love and a big hand. Come on up.
Hadigan Monster. And forgive me, I'm going to go to the restroom really quickly, too. And that's a lot of clapping they're doing. I mean, I respect it. This is terrible what's going on. But I'll be right back.
And now, I get to introduce my dear friend and the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
All right, here we go. Let's get the show on the road. Woo! How's the volume, everyone? AI clapping, someone says. Anyway, hopefully the volume's good, everyone. Trump's coming up to speak. Let's get this done. Remember, Trumponomics coupon code expiring tonight, baby. Email us if you got questions. All the info's at meetkevin.com.
So now the work begins. We won, but now the work begins. We have to bring them home. And, you know, tonight I'm going to be signing on the J6 hostages.
Oh, wow.
To get them out.
There it is. That's the binder.
As I leave, I'm going to the Oval Office and we'll be signing pardons for a lot of people.
Wow. There it is. That's what he promised.
And thank you to Steve Witkoff. He's a great guy. He's a friend of mine. He's been a very successful man. He's a great negotiator. He's a wonderful guy. People love him. And he's got a tremendous power of persuasion. And that's what we need. We don't need stiffs. We don't need stiffs. We got a lot of stiffs. You just had a whole load of them. And to the former, welcome home. Some of the folks are former hostages. Not a good situation. The three young ladies that came home yesterday, you saw that. They're more coming home every day now. They're coming home. But they were hurt. They were hurt. They were hurt. One had her head blown off, fingers on her hand, and her hand indeed was blown off. She was trying to defend herself from a bullet being fired. Do you believe this? A bullet knocked off her hand. I don't know. You look at it, it's a disgrace. We never stopped praying for you, and we're so glad that you're reunited with your friends and families, and God bless you all. And some of them are just saying, no, my son is gone, but please just bring home his body. Right, Steve? Any of you have told me that?
That's so sad.
That your son is gone, but bring home his body. It should have never happened. 3 years, it's ridiculous. Should have never happened. Wouldn't have happened. I also want to express my tremendous gratitude to the hundreds of thousands of proud American patriots who came from all across the country to join us in this celebration. It's a celebration of a big win. And you're witnessing the dawn of the golden age of America. That's what it's going to be. We're bringing it back. We're going to bring it back fast. We're going to bring it back fast.
I just realized this monster matches the background, like, perfectly.
Service members, National
Not
Guardsmen,
sponsored?
Police, Secret Service, and law enforcement personnel are keeping us all safe, even though they are great people. New York's finest. I grew up with New York's finest, and we got to give them their authority back. You won't have any crime. There'll be no crime. You give them little authority back. The whole way they run things in this country now, it's disgraceful. But it's going to change rapidly. We're going to make our cities safe again, too. Even though we're indoors, we've had a magnificent inaugural parade. And let's give a big round of applause. They were great. To all of the incredible performers and hardworking men and women who made it possible. Those people, really talented, amazing people. I also want to thank my wonderful family for being here, especially my beautiful wife, our First Lady, Melania. I love our First Lady. And also, JD. How good has JD been? And his beautiful wife, Usha. How good is JB? JD has been great. He's another good negotiator, Steve. He's a great negotiator, too. We need negotiators in this country. But so many of the people on the stage behind, not only family members, as an example, Lara Trump, the wife of Eric. She was the head of the Republican Party, along with my friend Michael. Stand up, the two of you. What a job. What a job they did. They worked so hard. They knew there'd be rigging, but they said, we're going to make it too big to rig, and we did. We made it too big to rig. We won every swing state by a lot. We won the popular vote by millions and millions of votes. We won the whole ball of wax. And now we're going to go and drill, baby, drill, and do all the things that we've wanted to do and bring your costs down, your prices down, and make our country safe. So thank you very much, Michael. Thank you very much. What a job you've done, Michael. I'm never moving you, you know. He was thinking about getting a nice job in the administration. I said, no, I'm leaving you right where you are. You've done a very good job. We're not moving you, Michael. I'm sorry. Anyway, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. Right here with us also in the arena, I'm about to sign some very important executive orders of our new administration. Hey, Don, will you stand up, please? Don is another one. How about Don? This guy. He's a popular one. He goes out and speaks. He gets that big crowd. He's a little on the rough side sometimes, but that's what you want. He's done a fantastic job, and he loves our country. Thanks, Don. Great job. You've done a great job.
That's
and Ivanka.
cool.
Yeah, with the green. It's an awesome outfit. Emerald, I guess it'd be. It would be emerald.
And you know,
I'd call it.
Jared negotiated the Abraham Accords, which are the biggest. It's the biggest deal made in the Middle East in many, many years, and it's really something. Jared, stand up, Jared. The Abraham Accords.
He's also investing a lot of money on behalf of those in the Middle East, like the Saudis.
Going to have a little baby. And Michael. And then I have a very tall son named Barron. Has anyone ever heard of him?
There he is. Forgive me. I'm gonna have a second angle. Dude, he's got like no emotion. Oh, there we go. There's a little smile. I'm like, where's the smile? There.
Thank
Something like
you.
that. Second angle.
He knew the youth vote. You know, we won the youth vote by 36 points. And he was saying, Dad, you got to go out and do this one or that one. And we did a lot of them. And he respects them all. He understood them very well. And he said, Dad, you got to go out, do Joe Rogan, do all these guys. And we did.
Nice.
We did, and Joe Rogan was great. They were all great, right, Aaron? They were all good. He understood the market. Another famous one, how about Kai? Stand up, Kai.
Oh, and she's vlogging now, too. People love her vlogs. I think it's so many views on YouTube. Lots of golfing. A lot of golf. Makes you want to get into golf.
Is that
if you're not
Byron
already.
Donalds back there? Stand up, Byron. Stand up. What a future this one has. What a future. That's great, Byron. Thank you very much. And how about Lutnick, Secretary of Commerce? He's going to take in more money than any country has ever even thought about.
Nah.
He's going to take in some money. And we have many others. Look, I'm not
He
gonna go
looks like the guy who's going to send you a bill.
So we're going to sign executive orders. First, I'll revoke nearly 80 destructive and radical executive actions of the previous administration, one of the worst administrations in history. Maybe not one of them, the worst. Anybody that would allow millions of people to pour through our borders from jails, prisons, mental institutions, insane asylums, gang members to be taken off the streets of Venezuela and deposited in our country, and many, not just Venezuela. You know, crime in Venezuela is down 74% because they took their criminals and gave them to us through an open border policy of the previous administration. All over the world, they're emptying their prisons into our country. They're emptying their mental institutions into our country. It stops as of 1 o'clock this afternoon, okay? It stops. So I'm revoking nearly 80 destructive, radical executive actions of the previous administration. They'll all be null and void within about, what, 5 minutes? Is that them over there? 5 minutes? And next, to gain immediate control of the vast federal out-of-control bureaucracy, I will implement an immediate regulation freeze, which will stop Biden bureaucrats from continuing to regulate. Most of those bureaucrats are being fired. They're gone. Should be all of them, but some sneak through, but we have to live with a couple, I guess. I'll also issue a temporary hiring freeze to ensure that we're only hiring competent people who are faithful to the American public. And we will pause the hiring of any new IRS agents. We will also require that federal workers must return to the office in person. And we're going to take the 88,000 people that they hired to go after you with guns. By the way, they're allowed to use guns and harass you like they were so many other people. Remember this. Okay, remember? Do you remember a little statement about tips? Does anybody remember that little statement?
Ooh, tax on tips.
I think we won Nevada because of that statement.
And yes,
But they
Kai
went
has
out
a
and harassed you
vlog
over the
on
tips.
YouTube.
In other words, we are restoring control of our government to the people. We're going to take those 88,000. Let's see if they'd like to work on the border, because that's where we want them, really. So we're going to have no tax on tips, right? No tax on tips. And we may have, like the Speaker of the House, is he here? He's done such a good job. Is Mike here? He's around here someplace. I saw him just a little while ago. Hello, fellas. Look at you guys. Yeah, I know it. He's great. He's doing great. They're all doing good. The Republican Party has never been unified like it is right now. They want to save our country.
I'm just waiting to hear the Bitcoin reference so we can see Bitcoin spike.
Next, I'm going to sign a presidential memorandum directing every member of my cabinet to marshal every power at their disposal to defeat inflation and rapidly bring down the cost of daily life, because your costs have gone through the roof in the last 4 years. Perhaps you didn't notice. Does anyone notice their costs are like double, triple, quadruple? You can't buy bacon. Apples have doubled in price. You want an apple, anybody? Pay twice.
I mean, this is mostly like a signal, right? This is messaging. So I'm gonna say this is messaging. Like this, I think if somebody could wave the wand and get rid of inflation, they probably would.
So we have more oil and gas than any country in the world, and we're going to use it. We're not going to do the wind thing. Wind, dude.
No.
Big ugly
He's so
windmills.
anti.
They ruin your neighborhood. They ruin you. If you have
Windmills.
a house that's near a windmill, guess what? Your house is worth less than half.
Wow.
And did you see up in New England with the
I don't know about that claim.
So they had 2 whales killed in about 14 years. Last year and the year before, total, they had 28. So if you're into whales, you don't want windmills either. And they're the most expensive form of energy that you can have by far. And they're all made in China, by the way, practically all of them. And they kill your birds and they ruin your beautiful landscapes. But other than that, I think they're quite good, right?
China
Now,
does about
remember when we used to
60% of the world's windmills.
kidding, but we don't kid anymore. They want to watch the debates on television. They want to watch your favorite president on television. But the wind isn't blowing, so we can't watch television that night, Gladys. Remember? Gladys, I'm sorry, the wind is just not blowing. We're not watching Trump tonight. But I'm immediately withdrawing from the unfair, one-sided Paris Climate Accord ripoff. The United States will not sabotage our own industries while China pollutes with impunity. You know, China, I mean, look, they use a lot of dirty energy, but they produce a lot of energy. And when that stuff goes up in the air, you know, it doesn't stay there. It's not like you got a wall. We love walls, don't we? Not like you have a wall around and it doesn't. It floats into the United States of America after 3.5 to 5.5 days. It floats across the oceans and it comes right over your neighborhood and it falls into your neighborhood. So they all say, we have to fight for cleaner air, but the other dirty air is dropping all over us. So what the hell are they talking about? Unless everybody does. It just doesn't work. You know, we had the cleanest air and the cleanest water that this country's ever had under the Trump administration, and we didn't do anything to stop jobs and stop production, believe me. You're going to see a lot of companies come pouring back because tariffs. I always say tariffs is the most beautiful word to me in the dictionary. Then I was reprimanded by the fake news. They said, what about love, religion, and God? I said, I agree. Let's put God number 1. Let's put religion number 2. Love, I don't know. We got to put that number 3, I guess, right? And then it's tariff. Because tariffs are going to make us rich as hell. It's going to bring our country's businesses back that left us. And I'll also sign an executive order to immediately end federal government censorship of the American people. In America, we believe in free speech, and we're bringing it back starting today to stop the weaponization. Oh, do I know about that? These creeps. Deranged Jack Smith. You ever hear of him? Deranged. He's a deranged prosecutor. He's sick. They suck him on me. He's now been reduced to getting on an airplane, going back to The Hague or wherever the hell he came from. We got to get rid of that guy. Hey, was he one of the many people that got a pardon today? Did they pardon Jack Smith? You know, did you know that Biden, while I was making my speech, pardoned his whole family?
Yeah, it was right before it.
The brother, the whole deal was pardoned. Can you imagine that? While I was making my speech. Did everybody hear my speech? Did you like my speech?
You know, he's just done so many rallies. He's gotten really good at this. But Fauci was one of the people pardoned, by the way. Fauci, family member.
The
anyway.
only thing wrong with it is I had a lot of tough things to say, and I have some great people that work for me. Sir, this is such a great speech. It's so unifying. Don't talk about Biden with his pardons of his family. We want a unified country. They said, don't talk about the J6 hostages that you're going to be releasing today. Sir, don't put that in your speech, please.
He's doing it today.
I said, but I want to put it in my speech. I said, sir, it won't be unified like it is. It's so beautiful the way it is. And it is getting great reviews. You know, if I put things like that in, I'll get terrible reviews. One little paragraph that's a little bit wrong, the fake news goes crazy, right? So I said, all right, I won't put it in my speech, but you know what? I'm speaking in front of a hell of a lot of people at a place called Capital One Arena, and I'll talk about it there. So we're going to be going over the beautiful Oval Office, one of the great offices in history. Even if it wasn't beautiful, it's the Oval Office, but it is beautiful. And we love the Oval Office. It all starts with the wars start and end there. Everything starts and ends at the Oval Office. We love it. But we're going to go to the Oval Office. We're going to sign. We're going to release our great hostages that didn't do, for the most part, they didn't do stuff wrong. You take a look at what went on, and look what happens in other parts of the country. In Portland, where they kill people, they destroy the city. Nothing happens to them. In Seattle, where they took over a big chunk of the city, nothing happened. Minneapolis, where they burned down the city, nothing happened. Essentially, nothing happened. All they want to do is go after the J6 hostages. A 76-year-old grandmother was arrested the other day. Because she was looking, I think because she was looking at the Capitol.
Oh, quick shout out to Alex, Seth, Dragon Slayer, nice name. Jay, Jacob, Srivivis. Oh, I can't spell that. Sriviv. Anyway, thank you so much for joining the Trumponomics course over at meetkevin.com. We've got a special sale going on for the inauguration over at meetkevin.com.
I believe I have the all-time record. Every day a subpoena. Every single day would get subpoenas. I was more than any person. Alphonse Capone, remember I used to talk about it? Now, Alphonse Capone, Scarface, he was a pretty rough guy. He was investigated about 1/100th what Trump was investigated. My father's looking down at me, my mother, how the hell did this happen? You know what it is? They investigated their political opponent, the opponent of Biden, and then ultimately Kamala. Has anyone ever heard of Kamala? We had to beat two opponents, you know? We had to beat Biden, then we beat him. Now he goes on top. The guy was like 39 points down. I think I could have beaten Trump. They should have left me in. I would have been. No, his debate performance wasn't the best, right? That's what killed him. And then they had a change, and that's like you get into a fight. The great Dana White spoke last night. We love Dana White, right? UFC. That's like he puts in two fighters. One of them's getting creamed, getting really beaten, and they say, all right, take him out. Let's put somebody else in to finish up the fight. That's what they did to us. They gave us somebody new, but we took care of both of them. So we beat actually two opponents. But to stop the weaponization of law enforcement and our government, I will also sign an order directing every federal agency to preserve all records pertaining to political persecutions under the last administration, of which there were many, and beginning the process of exposing any and all abuses of power, even though he's pardoned many of these people. Can you believe it? He's pardoned them. You know why he did it while I was speaking? Because that way I couldn't speak about it. I was speaking. I didn't know he did it. I finished my
That was not on my bingo card for executive orders. Basically a threat to everyone, like, you better not delete any files showing the nonsense that was going on. I want to expose it. That's really interesting.
Say, please don't do
I guess if anybody's going to delete anything, they got a few more minutes left.
to talk about it, and we will. We're doing all of this on our very first day in office. You know, don't forget, we've been in this position, really, where we won the primaries in record time. We were the fastest win of a primary ever in political history, which is a very nice thing. It's nice to know. Well, the second election was rigged, so we knew we were doing well. And if it wasn't, you know what? If it wasn't, I would have never run. But this third one was just a monster. Boy, was that a big one, huh? That was a big one. On the second one, we got like 10 or 12 million votes more than the first one. How about that? We did great on the first one. We did much better on the second one. But bad did we do well on the third one. So we're gonna have some fun. It's very simple. We're gonna make our country great. We're gonna make our country great again. We're gonna make America great again. How good a name is MAGA, though, right? You know? I was going to say, keep America great, but unfortunately it wasn't great. Can't say keep it great. It will be great again, but CAG, keep America great, CAG, I don't think it's ever going to replace MAGA. Does anybody like CAG? I don't think so. It's never replacing MAGA. Nothing will ever replace MAGA. MAGA was the most successful political operation, political movement in the history of our country, maybe in the history of the world. Let's see what happens, because we're not finished yet. We're not finished yet. We got a long way to go. But we're doing this on the very first day in office, and in just a few moments, I'm not only signing the release of the J6 hostages, I'm signing other things that you're going to love. Oh, you're going to be happy reading newspapers tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. So I just want to thank, I mean, look at this place. It's full to the rafters. You don't have any. Look at those people up there. You don't have any empty seats. And by the way, the Capital One owners, they are so good. We got to root for their teams because they have been so great to MAGA, to us. And I just want to thank Ted and everybody. You guys have been fantastic. And the ice hockey team's doing great. Ovechkin's pretty good, right? They're doing great. So I want to thank them, Capital One Arena owners. They have been absolutely fantastic. And thank you once again to everyone. And I can only tell you, you're going to be very happy.
Great arena. I haven't seen crypto yet, though, here.
Some wars that are happening and going on. Some stupid things are happening. The war with Ukraine would have never happened, and it has. As you know, Israel would have never been hit on October 7th, and none of you would be up here, none of you would even know anything about this tragedy that you're going through right now. But Iran was broke. Anybody that bought oil from Iran, they couldn't do any business with us. You're not going to do business with America. China passed, everybody passed, they were broke. They didn't have money for Hamas, they didn't have money for Hezbollah. and your sons would be alive, and they certainly wouldn't be in.
Well, obviously, it's hard to say if this attack would not have happened, but it is true that Iran funds these groups like Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis in Yemen. So this is not terribly untrue regarding funding. What the implications of that would have been are obviously unclear. Now let's see if there is a microphone where the executive orders are. So traditionally, they talk about each one as they sign it. So let's see what we have here. What are they saying? I think they're chanting, use the coupon code at meetkevin.com for the Trumponomics course, all of Kevin's trade alerts under Trump 2025, Kevin's real estate analysis, course member live streams, lectures on efficiency, productivity, taxes, advanced tax saving strategies. The frickin' thing pays for itself. It's a bargain at like, what is it, 400, something like that? Meetkevin.com, go check it out. All right, let's listen to this.
We'll have it for you back to you. The first is the rescissions of 78 Biden-era EOs and presidential memoranda.
Rescission of Biden-era executive orders. I don't think they realize the mic's on.
If you want me to, sir.
Why don't you say what I'm signing?
Sure. The first item that President Trump is signing is the rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others.
Okay. I thought it was 80 policies, but okay, I'll change it to 78. I love it when they hold these up. They always turn it into a meme.
The second item, President Trump, is a regulatory freeze, as you announced in your speech, preventing bureaucrats from issuing any more regulations until we have full control of this, the government and this administration.
Okay, let's do this so you can all see this a little. I was looking at, those were the list of pardons on the left. There we go. You can see the list right here with me.
Thank you, sir. Sir, can I have a pen? The next item, sir, is a freeze on all federal hiring, excepting the military and a number of other excluded categories, again, until full control of the government is achieved and we understand the objectives of government going forward.
There it is.
Could you imagine Biden doing this? I don't think so.
Hey, what's this going to do to the payroll numbers, by the way?
Sir, the next item, as you announced in your speech, is a requirement that federal workers return to full-time in-person work immediately. Thank you, sir. Next, we have a directive to every department and agency in the federal government to address the cost of living crisis that has cost Americans so dearly.
All right, that's 5. I'm pretty sure tax on tips.
Thank you,
tax
sir.
on tips will be congressional.
The item here is the withdrawal from the Paris Climate Treaty.
That's this. Yeah, tax on tips. I think he just mentioned. I don't think it's gonna get one.
Yes, sir.
Because you need Congress to do that with the tax plan. Free speech is next, I think.
We're going to save over $1 trillion by withdrawing from that treaty.
We'll have to fact
And the
check that.
next item, sir, is a letter that will be transmitted to the United Nations.
Free speech?
Explaining that we are withdrawing from the Paris Climate Treaty.
Oh, okay.
That's a short letter.
Thank you, sir.
That's a very short letter.
This next item is a directive to the federal government ordering the restoration of freedom of speech and
There it
preventing
is.
government censorship of free speech going forward.
Preventing government from restricting free speech.
And lastly, sir, before we go back to the Oval Office to sign a large number of other items, is a directive to the federal government ending the weaponization of government against the political adversaries of the previous administration, as we've seen.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it.
Wait, the binder. Where's the binder?
Pretty clean job.
Crypto. Where's the binder? Oh, he's throwing the pens out. That's cool. Those are cool mementos. Let's take a look at that full screen. Poke someone's eye out. Give JD one to throw. Oh, too late.
President Trump throwing commemorative pens into the crowd.
Okay, we'll do a
signing.
summary here in just a moment of these. I want to see if there's anything else that's going to get mentioned. Remember, if you have any questions, by the way, on the Trumponomics course, which is going to be focused on everything about building your wealth under Trump, real estate, crypto, taxes, entrepreneurship, stocks, trades, whatever, make sure you check it out at meetkevin.com. I got to update the video. The video still talks about pre-sale. Pre-sales are, we've already released the course, but a lot more content will be added to it now that we have more clarity. So if you want, if you have questions, just email us. It's at meetkevin.com. Okay, let's go through these then. Let's see what we got here. So updated this. And looks like we'll just watch for a moment as they take off out of here. A lot of Secret Service. You know, it's honestly probably quite strategic that they kept these rallies inside as well, just I mean, the Secret Service probably breathed a sigh of relief in terms of the security effort, especially after the threats, even Iranian-backed threats against Donald Trump, which is, scary. It's just a crazy kind of world that we're in, eh? So, anyway, okay. So let's go do a summary here. Okay, give it a second here. Okay. Thanks for being here, by the way, for the summary. We'll add commentary to all the goodies here. Just take one more second. Bitcoin just now losing its 102, by the way. Some enthusiastic people there in the audience. Okay. There we go. Okay. Okay. Now we're ready. Okay. Full right. There we go. Well, in addition to Anthony Fauci getting pardoned by not Donald Trump, but Joe Biden this morning while he was still president, we do have information on the latest executive orders signed by Donald Trump. Now, this is a follow-up to the inauguration speech this morning, where Donald Trump just now, after the inaugural parade, which was held indoors thanks to the freezing climate, Donald Trump just signed 8 executive orders. I'm going to go through each of these. Spoiler alert, no crypto in these executive orders. Now, Donald Trump does say he's going back to the Oval Office to sign a host of other orders, but let's go ahead and get started with the 8 that were signed. First, there's going to be a revocation of 78 policies of the prior administration, especially those relating to immigration. So it's not entirely clear which executive orders and actions these are, but I'm sure we'll get a full list in the coming days. But basically, they're just trying to undo some of the groundwork and the policies of the Biden administration over the last 4 years. Some of this could, for example, be like the banning of the permits for the Keystone Pipeline, right? With one signature, you've just undone 78 policies like that. Yeah, Donald Trump also says he's going to go back to the White House now and pardon a lot of J6 hostages, but he has not done that yet. So we expect that to happen tonight, Donald Trump says. So stay tuned for that tonight. Before we talk about the second one, though, I do want to shout out a Border Patrol agent was killed today, 15 minutes after Donald Trump took office. This was at a traffic stop in Vermont. One of the suspects is dead. There's a second suspect that I believe is in custody. And there's also drama going on right now over Elon's salute, which was the point to the heart, and then the salute, if you will. Elon does say thank you to his supporters and then salutes to large applause. Because that large applause made a big sort of gap between when he salutes and then him saying, my heart goes out to you, some people are saying that, just look at this clip, and then Elon says nothing, he's a Nazi. And other people are saying, no, like, he just waited for the applause to finish his thought, which is my heart goes out to you. It's just the timing of when he did this wasn't appropriate. I kind of believe that, mostly because I don't think Elon is particularly, I mean, he's no Trump speaker, right? He doesn't speak as well as, quite frankly, many speakers. He's more of an engineer, right? So I could see his timing being off here. I personally don't see Elon as a Nazi, but that is some drama that is circulating right now. It's worth mentioning that. Some people think so, some people think not. Anyway, number 2 in terms of executive orders, an immediate regulation freeze to stop Biden bureaucrats from continuing to regulate. Now, this is also a very interesting, I see your comments here about the Roman salute. Right, that's another way to look at it, is sort of like this is a reference to Elon Musk's sort of readings of ancient Rome or ancient philosophy or otherwise. Anyway, immediate regulation freeze to stop Biden bureaucrats from continuing to regulate. Now, this is interesting because it basically stops agencies in their tracks from being able to do anything. Because remember, a lot of these agencies, they can sort of interpret the law and then come up with rules and procedures to regulate the way they want to interpret the law. I'll just give an example. You look at a company or an organization like FINRA, the Financial Regulatory Organization, body, they, have a host of sort of orders from the Security and Exchange Commission, but then they can interpret those laws. And the way they often interpret those could be substantially more strict than what was actually the intention of the law. And because they're a self-regulatory organization, they can kind of get away with that. And so Donald Trump is, and I'm not saying this specifically to target FINRA, I think the people at FINRA have actually been very nice and extremely accommodating with working with us. But the point of this is just to use it as an example to say, Trump hereby is trying to say, no, you can't do anything until we come and tell you what to do. Somewhat interesting. We'll see what the implications of that are. Donald Trump also says most of the leaders of these agencies will be fired. Number 3, he talks about a temporary hiring freeze, pausing the hiring of specifically IRS agents, and wants to send those 80,000 IRS agents that were hired to go to work somewhere else, like maybe on the border. And the hiring freeze will exclude a hiring freeze for the military, no hiring freeze for the military, and some other excluded categories, which they didn't list. But I'm sure we'll get a sort of a published list of all of that in the future. But anyway, temporary hiring freeze. This is interesting because hiring for within the government and healthcare sector is usually a late cycle hiring. How would you put it? Region or I don't know, sector, right? Like usually most of the hiring when you're closer to a recession or the end of an economic boom happens in government and healthcare. And over the past 6 months, a lot of the hiring that we've actually seen has been government and healthcare. Now, the government freezing its hiring, some people are wondering like, man, what's this going to do to payroll numbers, basically starting in March, right? Because you'll have a full February of a hiring freeze, and those numbers will start showing up in March, where government hiring all of a sudden drops off a cliff. Now, maybe states will keep hiring in local governments, but it's something to pay attention to as well. Then you've got Federal workers return to work full-time in person, 4 to 5 days a week. So it's kind of like full-time asterisk. But anyway, in person, so getting rid of remote work for the government agencies. So this is number 4. So number 1, just to be clear, was revoking the 78 policies. Number 2, immediate regulation freeze. Number 3, the temporary hiring freeze. Number 4, return to work full-time. Okay, the next one. I gotta say it. Go to meetkevin.com. Make sure you take advantage of that coupon code expiring tonight on Trumponomics. Remember, you're gonna get suggestions not only on trade perspectives, trades that I'm doing, but also real estate investing, taxes, entrepreneurship, productivity, advanced tax strategies. I think the tax strategies that are in there will save you more than, way more than the price of admission. You get lifetime access to it as well, and lifetime access to those course member live streams. So check it out over at meetkevin.com. I've got to update the pre-sale video, but hey, we've got a special coupon here, and a lot of the content has been released, and we've got a bunch of new content coming. So as more content comes out, we'll be raising that price as the coupons expire. Check it out at meetkevin.com. So number 5, every cabinet member has been directed to defeat inflation. This, in my opinion, is mostly messaging. I think this is relatively meaningless. I guess I shouldn't say meaningless. I mean, there is meaning in messaging, right, to address the cost of living crisis. But let's be real, I don't actually think that there's going to be a big move here. Note some of the things that we didn't also see, and we still got to get to number 6, but we didn't see a delayed TikTok ban. We didn't see something on drill baby drill, though that could be in the releasing the Biden orders, right? We didn't see anything on Trump tariffs yet or ending DEI. We didn't see anything on the Gulf of Mexico or Bitcoin reserve. Like, those are some of the things that we did not see anything on yet. Number 6, withdrawing from the Paris Climate Accord, along with signing a letter to the United Nations on why we're withdrawing. Bringing back free speech was a number 7, preventing the government from restricting free speech in any way, and stopping the weaponization of justice, a number 8. Now, other things talked about but not signed were things like preserving all records related to past prosecutions or persecutions to sort of enable Donald Trump to be able to expose what was happening. You've got talk about this no tax on tips, but I think that's going to be something that has to be taken up with Congress, potentially even with the strategic Bitcoin reserve. So again, there's a limit to how much a president can really pull off. Now I'm getting a notification here. It looks like Refinitiv reporting Trump revokes a 2023 Biden executive order on AI policy. Oh, interesting. So it wouldn't surprise me that you have a lot of people, you know, in Trump's ear, especially from Silicon Valley, that are like, hey, can you get rid of this while you're at it? You know, and so the 78, policy removals from Biden it was sort of like this catch-all opportunity to like clean up some of the regulatory burdens that certain, industries might have. Senate has confirmed Marco Rubio of Florida to serve as Secretary of State. Remember, Hillary Clinton had that under the Biden administration. Then we've got first president of Trump's cabinet to be approved, a vote of 99-0. Wow, that's actually pretty impressive. And the Senate did pass the Lincoln-Riley Act, sending it to the House for approval on a vote of 64-35. First early legislative win there. Congress is in session today, so that's why you're seeing some of this happen here. Still waiting on the Hegseth, though. He did get through committee. Now he's actually got to get approved by everyone else. As far as Vivek, the White House did put a statement out suggesting that Vivek has helped play a critical role in creating Doge and intends to run for elected office soon, which requires him remain outside of Doge based on the structure that we announced today. That sounds a little like a cop-out to me. Personally, I wonder if Vivek is sort of like escaping because he could have stayed in Doge and used it as a resume item if it did really well. Now he's just going to use it as like, I helped create it and then I ran away. I think that's a lot less powerful. I think if he stayed, it could have been a good resume item, unless he doesn't think it's going to do well, right? Like maybe he thinks Doge isn't really going to get anything done, or he was pushed out by like Elon. It's like, I got more money than you, get out of my way, So, which is entirely possible too. I don't know. I'm curious to know what you think. Let me know what you think. But anyway, okay. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an overview of what's going on with what Donald Trump just signed. Again, we're expecting getting a whole host of J6 pardons later in the evening. Fauci was pardoned along with Biden family members earlier this morning, and There you have it. Thank you so very much for being here. And folks, we'll see you all in the next one. Have a wonderful evening here, and we'll be back to a market open tomorrow morning, which is kind of exciting. Well, at least with course members. Right now we're doing market opens, by the way, with course members, in case you're wondering where those are. So if you want to be a course member, go get your lifetime access over at meetkevin.com. It's not that much, and you get that analysis every day. Currently, the 10-year Treasury is down about 5.7 basis points in futures, and the pre-market is pretty green, up about 0.5% across the board. So anyway, there you have it. Thanks again for being here, folks. See you in the next one. Goodbye.